Hi, my name is Sherwin Lai. I'm the Interp captain at Bellarmine for the 2019 to 2020 school year in speech and debate. Today's Interp video is going to be about transitions, specifically part one of this video. There's going to be a part two. Part one is going to focus on transitioning into the piece and out of the piece, and transitioning into the intro and out of the intro. So, when we're thinking about transitions in Interp, which I think are super important and often the most commonly missed things of interps I see at tournaments, there are several areas you want to focus on. Starting the piece, going into the intro, coming out of the intro, transitioning between sections of varying emotional levels, and ending the piece. Now, in this video, we're only going to focus on the ones to do with starting and ending the piece and going in and out of the intro, and I will save the one on emotion levels for the following video because that's kind of a separate thing to think about. Now, the reason these transitions are so commonly missed, people do attempt to do them, but often they are rushed or they're not really thought about. And these transitions are not really that hard to do, but executing them effectively can really make a big difference in perception, showing that your piece is super polished, you're super prepared, you're not just doing it, but you really have all the little steps down. And it dramatically changes the perceived cleanliness of your piece. So this is a super important concept. I cannot emphasize enough. So let's start with transitions with regard to starting the piece. There are a few things I want you to do. So when you walk up, do so calmly when you're asked to start. Smile. This is a very important one. You want to show the audience that not only are you confident, but that you're happy to be here and you're ready and eager to share your story, because that's literally what it is. If you're not happy to be here, the judge or other people won't be, right? So it has to start from you, and this is a great way to show your confidence. Make 3-point eye contact. So you would look at the center, look to the left, look to the right, back to the center, and then start. This is to show that you're being very aware of the room, right? That you're confident, you know what you're going. It's not just you're going to go up and you're just going to start abruptly, right? You're going to assess, engage the readiness of the atmosphere, and then go. Really important, make sure you look actually at the people, not just like walls. So like actually look at people, or else it's really weird. Yeah. I think there was something else I was going to say that I can't remember right now. Okay, I'll come back to it. Make sure you breathe calmly without making lots of sound. You don't want to go in and start rushing because you weren't prepared. And then, of course, begin steadily. It's very easy to, and oftentimes we get nervous when you start, which is totally natural. You want to channel that nervous energy into positive energy so that you begin steadily and on pace, because once you start rushing, it may be kind of difficult to just slow down for the rest of the piece and you just march through the whole thing. So make sure that starting point is very important. Again, the judges are judging you not on your first word, but literally when you first walk into the room. So showing that confidence, showing that readiness, and showing that awareness is super important. Oh, the other thing that I forgot about earlier is before you start the piece, really try to gauge the space and the room and the furniture around the room. I've seen so many awkward DIs and other interps where the contestants end up bumping into tables or the board behind them or into other furniture in the room because they didn't properly assess where the things were. For example, if you are performing in a hotel room, there are actual tournaments where this happens, right? And you have very little space between the TV and the bed, right? Make sure you adjust your blocking, or you think about how you're going to adjust your blocking beforehand, and you're not trying to figure that out during the piece. Similarly, if you're in a large auditorium, right? Already start thinking about how you're going to change your projection maybe so that everyone can hear, or you're going to make larger steps in your blocking. These things need to be figured out mentally before you go into the piece, not during. Okay, so really gauge your surroundings and your space before you start. Okay, now let's talking about going into the intro and ending your piece, which I'm gonna group together because they're kind of similar because it's the transition when you're ending a big section. So before you go into the intro or before you end your entire piece, gradually slow down. You want to kind of give like a hint that you're about to come to a stop, so it doesn't just feel like you're abruptly cutting yourself off when you go into the transition. This is a trick I like. Use kind of hand gesture or position. Don't force it, so make sure it's natural and would make sense for what the character would actually do. So that when you actually morph out of that character and go to your intro or end the piece, there's a larger contrast in physicality, and it makes it more clear to the judges and the audience that you're going into a different section. This is just simply an issue of clarity, right? Obviously, cleanly and slowly morph out, no sudden gestures, and pause, right? Oftentimes I see these nice clean morphs, but then they just go straight right into the intro, or they just walk off the stage when they finish their piece. Give it a bit of time, like 1 second or 2 seconds, like actually count in your head before you go on. That way it's clean. And then, of course, continue with her intro. And make sure your facial expressions change during these transitions. Okay, how about transitioning out of the intro? After you finish your intro, this is just the main thing. Pause, okay? Like, McHart was here by so-and-so. And then blah, 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 right? That's too quick. We want a clear transition. For example, you actually really need to pause. Like, I'm serious. Pause how long you think you should pause, and then add like 2 more seconds, because it needs to be clear. Like, What Makes Life Worth Living in the Face of Death by Lucy Kalanithi, delivered at TEDMed in 2016. Early on in Paul's illness, we agreed to just write, so there's actually, like, if I just go on, it doesn't, sometimes I don't even know where the person's Interp's intro starts or ends, right? We need that pause. That's about it for this video. Make sure you ask, if you have any questions, you can ask me, ask your captains or coaches, and really practice these transitions. Like, spend extra time figuring them out. Don't just assume you know them, because more likely than not, you don't. I'm going to go over the other half of transitions, specifically about transitions between varying emotional sections, so please check out that video as well. So that's about it for this video. Thank you for watching.